On the southern coasts of Italy, right beside the Bay of Naples, the ruins of an ancient city rise from the earth. Every year, millions of people walk among these remains, explore the petrified streets, and touch walls that are 2,000 years old. Tourists take photos, guides tell stories, children look around with curiosity. But the things displayed here, behind glass cases among these ruins, they are not just archaeological finds. They are far more than that. They are human, or they were human once. Look carefully. Step closer to the figures in the display cases. You see two bodies clinging to each other, as if one tried to protect the other. Hands covering a face, a body tensed, the frozen moment of a final breath. Something stirs inside you when you look at this scene, because this is not a sculpture. It is not a work created by an artist's hand. This is real. But now I will tell you an unbelievable truth. These petrified people are not actually people. Yes, you heard that right. Inside these figures, there are no bodies, no bones, no flesh, only emptiness. In the 19th century, while excavating Pompeii, archaeologists noticed something strange. Within the volcanic ash, there were hollow spaces shaped like human bodies. 2,000 years ago, these people's bodies had died, decayed, and disappeared. But the volcanic ash that surrounded them had wrapped around them so tightly that even after the bodies decomposed, their shapes remained. Those voids were perfect molds of their final moments. Archaeologists poured plaster into these cavities, and what emerged were the frozen forms of people who had died 2,000 years earlier, captured at the exact moment they took their last breath. There is a mother here, holding her small child. She died trying to protect her child. There is a dog, chained, caught in its final struggles as it suffocated. There is a man who lost his life trying to save his money, and many more. Each one is a story. Each one is an ending. Each one is a moment frozen in time. August 24th, AD 79, early afternoon, around 1 o'clock, Mount Vesuvius erupted, and within 24 hours, the city called Pompeii was erased from the map. 20,000 people lived in this city, and in a single day, they were buried under 6 meters of ash. This is the story of that day, hour by hour, minute by minute. Not just a story of disaster. This is a human story, a story of fear, love, and the instinct to survive, and most importantly, a story of how time itself can suddenly come to a stop. August 24, AD 79, 8 o'clock in the morning. Pompeii is waking up to the day. It is a wealthy, vibrant port city with a population of 20,000. You could call it a vacation resort of the Roman Empire. Rich Romans have built their villas here, spending their summers in houses overlooking the sea. Merchants have arrived at the Forum early in the morning, setting up their stalls. Slaves wait in the marketplace for their master's orders. Gladiators train in their barracks near the amphitheater. There is a baker named Marcus. He rose with the first light of day, lit his oven, and began baking bread. His hands are dusted with flour. His forehead is sweaty, but he is content. Marcus loves his work. He bakes good bread, and his customers are satisfied. A few streets away lives a young woman named Julia. She is married and has 2 children. She is preparing breakfast in the atrium of her home, while her children play in the garden. Her husband left early for work and will return in the evening. A normal day, an ordinary day. But it isn't, really, because 17 years earlier, in AD 62, a great earthquake had struck. The city had shaken, buildings had collapsed, temples had been damaged. Pompeii was still in the process of recovery. Walls were cracked, Paving stones had shifted, and some houses were still under repair. But Romans were used to earthquakes. In this region of Italy, tremors were common. "It will pass," they said. "These things always happen," they said. Life went on. And on the horizon, just behind the city, Mount Vesuvius rose into the sky, a green mountain. Vineyards, olive trees, farms, fertile lands lay on the slopes of Vesuvius. For centuries, the mountain had been silent. No one knew it was a volcano. It was not mentioned in ancient texts. Even the elders did not remember an eruption. Vesuvius was just a mountain, a beautiful mountain, a peaceful mountain. But that morning, a few people who listened carefully heard strange sounds, rumblings coming from underground, as if a gigantic creature were waking from sleep, stretching, growling deep beneath the earth. But no one paid attention. Life continued. Marcus baked his bread. Julia tended to her children. A gladiator named Gaius practiced with his sword. Ordinary people, on an ordinary day, doing ordinary things, unaware that their deaths were only a few hours away. 10:30 in the morning, the first tremor arrived. It was a mild earthquake. The ground shook, vases on the walls rattled, a few plates fell from the shelves. People paused, looked at one another, then shrugged and went back to their work. "Another earthquake," they said. "We're used to it now," they said. After the earthquake of '62, tremors had become ordinary. It was nothing to be afraid of anymore. Life went on. But as noon approached, around 12 o'clock, a stronger tremor struck. This time it was serious. Stones fell from walls, people stumbled, horses panicked and neighed, dogs began to bark. The crowd gathered in the forum grew uneasy. The elderly, those who remembered the earthquake of '62, exchanged worried glances. "That earthquake started like this too," they said. "Maybe we should leave," they said. Some families began to pack their belongings. They gathered their valuables, jewelry, and money into bundles. "Let's leave for a few days," they said. "Let's stay outside the city for a while, maybe with relatives." But most people decided to stay. They did not want to abandon their homes. "You're exaggerating," those who stayed said. "It's just an earthquake. It will pass. It always does." And so, at that moment, the city split in two. Those who left and those who stayed. Those who decided and those who postponed. Those who were afraid and those who were brave. Or perhaps it would be more accurate to say, the lucky and the unlucky. Noon. Exactly 1 o'clock. Marcus is in his bakery. Julia is at home. Gaius is in the gladiators' barracks. The sun is high, the air is hot, the city relatively quiet. Siesta time is approaching. People are preparing to rest in the shade. Normal, ordinary, peaceful. And Vesuvius erupted.
The sound was ear-tearing, soul-shaking, world-trembling. It was heard from 100 kilometers away, a colossal explosion. As if the sky had split open, the earth had cracked apart, and all the gates of hell had opened at once. The summit of Vesuvius literally exploded. The top of the mountain was blown into the air, and in its place, a column of ash rose into the sky, 35 kilometers high. 35 kilometers? Can you imagine that? Higher than the altitude where airplanes fly. It rose so high that it reached the stratosphere, and then it began to spread sideways, like a gigantic mushroom cloud. You have seen the images of the atomic bomb over Hiroshima. The eruption of Vesuvius was 100,000 times more powerful than that bomb. 100,000 times. Chaos erupted instantly in Pompeii. The explosion was so powerful that people's ears rang and their balance failed. Buildings shook, walls cracked, statues toppled. People poured into the streets in panic. Screams, crying, shouting, total chaos. Mothers screamed as they searched for their children. Fathers tried to gather their families. The elderly stared around in confusion, not even understanding what was happening. And then the sky went dark. The sun disappeared. It was midday, the brightest hour, and yet night fell upon the city in an instant, as if a giant curtain had been drawn, as if the sun itself had been extinguished. The sky was covered by a black cloud, an ash cloud, and inside that cloud, lightning flashed. Volcanic lightning. Electrically charged ash particles rubbing against one another, creating bolts of lightning. It was like a war of the gods, apocalypse, the end of the world. Marcus burst out of the bakery, his hands still covered in flour, his face drained white with fear. In the streets, people collided with one another, screaming, shouting, crying. Someone screamed, "The gods are punishing us." Others shouted, "To the temple! Run to the temple! Let us offer sacrifices!" Faith and panic exploded at the same time. People ran to the temple of Jupiter, to the temple of Vulcan. They begged the gods, pleaded for forgiveness. "What have we done? Why are you punishing us?" they cried. But the gods did not answer, because this was not the wrath of the gods. This was nature, raw, merciless, unpredictable nature. And then stones began to fall from the sky. At first they were small stones, pumice stones, light, porous volcanic rocks, pebble-sized. They struck the rooftops with dull thuds. People covered their heads with their hands, with pillows, with wooden boards. But the pumice did not stop. As the minutes passed, the stones grew larger, fist-sized, then even larger, and every second, thousands of them rained down from above.
2 p.m. The pumice rain intensifies. 1 hour has passed since the eruption, and the pumice has not stopped. On the contrary, it is intensified. The stones are now the size of oranges. Some are even larger. They are falling fast. They have gained momentum. A pumice stone striking a head can split a skull open. People try to hide. They run into houses, slam doors shut. But the pumice fills everything. The streets begin to fill. 5 centimeters, 10 centimeters, 20 centimeters, half a meter, 1 meter. Doors become blocked. Ground floor windows are buried. Roofs grow heavier. Pumice is a light stone, but when millions of pieces pile up, it becomes heavy, very heavy. And then the first roof collapses. The roof of a house can no longer withstand the weight. It cracks, then caves in. Inside, a family, a father, a mother, and 2 children, are struck by tons of pumice. They suffocate. They are crushed. These are the first deaths, but they are not the last. Down by the harbor, thousands of people have gathered. They are trying to escape. They want to board boats. "Let's go out to sea. We'll die here," they shout. Boat owners rush to prepare their vessels, but the sea has gone mad. The volcanic eruption has created massive tsunami waves. The waves are 10 meters high. Boats are smashed apart. People are trapped in the harbor. There is a wealthy merchant. His name is Marcus Venerius Secundio. His wife, 2 children, and 3 slaves are with him. He reaches the harbor and finds a boat, but it is already too crowded to take more people. He pulls out his money and tries to give it to the boat owner. "Whatever you want, just take us," he says. But the boat owner shakes his head. "What use is money if I'm dead? The sea is suicide right now." And so Marcus and his family remain at the harbor, beneath the falling pumice, waiting, hoping. "4 p.m. Decision time. Stay or run." 3 hours have passed since the eruption. The pumice rain has not stopped. The streets are filled to a depth of 1.5 meters. The ground floors of houses are now completely buried. People have moved to the upper floors, but the roofs are dangerous. They could collapse at any moment. People have to make a decision: stay or flee. In one house, a wealthy family is upstairs, a patrician, his wife, and their son. The man is a banker named Lucius Caecilius Jucundus. He is a rich man. His villa is beautiful. Its walls are thick. Its roof is strong. "We are safe here," he says to his wife. "If we go outside, we'll be buried under the pumice. Inside is safer." His wife looks at him in fear, but says nothing. Their son, a 12-year-old boy, is crying. "Father, I'm scared," he says. Lucius lifts his son into his arms. "There's no need to be afraid, my child," he says. "Our walls are thick. This is Roman construction. It will stand for another 1,000 years." In another household, the opposite decision is made.
A former gladiator named Gaius Pomponius has recently gained his freedom. He is a free man now, and he does not want to lose that freedom. "Staying here is suicide," he says to his companions. "The pumice will not stop. The city will be buried. We have to leave, now." A group of about 10 people follows Gaius. They take shields and wooden boards to protect their heads. They pack food and water, and they step out into the street. They begin walking through 1.5 meters of pumice. Slow, difficult, dangerous, but they walk toward the city gate, toward freedom, toward life. 2 families, 2 decisions. One stays inside, the other goes outside. Which one is the right choice? They will learn the answer a few hours later. 8 o'clock in the evening. 7 hours have passed since the eruption. The pumice layer has reached a thickness of 3 meters. The city is almost completely buried. Only the upper floors of buildings and their rooftops are still visible above the pumice. And with every passing minute, those roofs begin to collapse, one by one. Lucius's villa. The family is upstairs. They are waiting in silence. They are hungry, they are thirsty, they are afraid, but they are holding on to one another.
"10 p.m. Hell in Herculaneum." 20 kilometers to the north, there was another city called Herculaneum, smaller, wealthier. It had received far less pumice than Pompeii. People felt a sense of relief. "We are lucky," they said. "It's not as bad here as it is in Pompeii." Many people had gone down to the shore. They were waiting for boats. A Roman admiral, Pliny the Elder, was said to be coming with his fleet to help. Word had spread. There was hope. More than 300 people gathered beneath the stone boathouses along the shore. They were sheltered from the pumice. They were watching the sea. There was a mother, a young woman. She held her small daughter in her arms. The child had fallen asleep, exhausted. The mother stroked her hair. "We'll be saved soon," she whispered. "The boats will come. I'll take you somewhere safe." There was a father. He held his baby in his arms. The baby was crying, inconsolable. The father rocked the child. "Shh, shh," he whispered. "It will pass. Everything will pass." There were elderly people, young people, the rich, slaves, 300 different people, 300 different lives, 300 different hopes. And then the ground shook. A tremendous roar came from the mountain, as if a giant creature were roaring. People jumped to their feet. They looked toward the mountain in terror, and they saw it. Something was coming down the slope of the mountain, a burning cloud, gray, red, orange, as if the fires of hell were flowing down the mountain. But this was not fire. It was worse. It was a pyroclastic flow. Discovery. 1,700 years later. 1,700 years passed. Pompeii became a legend. Stories were told. They said it was a city punished by the gods. They said it was a place where sinful people lived, and that is why it was destroyed. But the truth was forgotten. No one knew where Pompeii was. The year is 1748. The Spanish king, Charles III, is having a palace built in Naples. As workers dig the foundations, they find strange things: mosaics, pieces of walls, statues, ancient Roman remains, they say. Such finds are common in Italy. But as the digging goes deeper, more appears: buildings, streets, a city, an entire city, beneath the ash, preserved, frozen in time. And then they realize it. This is Pompeii, the lost city, the legendary city. It was real. Excavations begin. They last for years, and with every dig, something new emerges. A bakery is found. Inside it, loaves of bread, 2,000-year-old bread, charred, but their shapes perfectly intact. Was it Marcus's bakery? Who knows? A house is uncovered. Food is still on the table, plates, cutlery, cups, as if the family had just stepped away and would return any moment. Walls are uncovered, and on the walls, graffiti, Latin writings, things written by ordinary people. Marcus loves Julia, reads one wall. Gaius was here and did something filthy, says another. There is a gladiator fight tomorrow, don't miss it, reads another. Everyday life, ordinary people, loves, insults, announcements. It was like Twitter from 2,000 years ago. And the archaeologists understood. Pompeii was not just a city. Pompeii was a time capsule, a perfect snapshot of daily life in ancient Rome.
The echoes of Pompeii remind us that time is both a gift and a shadow. If you felt the weight of history today, hit that subscribe button and join our journey through the ages. I'm your host, and this is Chronos Memory. Until the next chapter of time, stay curious.